Hey guys, Morgan here, bringing you another episode of Joy in Hope. I once had a religious sister tell me, Morgan, stop shoulding on yourself. And I did a double take for reasons that I'm sure you did a double take looking at this title of this episode, or even just hearing me say that out loud, kind of what that makes you think of. And I didn't think I misheard her. She's a religious sister. But I was like, what? And she explained more of what she meant, and I thought it was pure gold. And I just felt called to share this message with you today. So she was like, stop shitting on yourself. And she explained, when we are listening, we hear so many voices. We hear the voice of God, but unfortunately, we also hear the voice of the devil. And how do we distinguish the two? How do we recognize the two? Okay, so she was like, the voice of the Lord, the inspirations of the Holy Spirit, the stirrings in our hearts, those are going to be led in peace. And sometimes when they're difficult things, it's more like a challenge, a conviction. If it's something like, okay, I'm convicted that I am called to do this instead of that. Whether we're talking about just like discernment, like choosing between two good things, or especially if we're talking about sin. Like if we are convicted, like what I am doing is wrong, and therefore I am called to do this other thing. Like I am called to choose chastity in place of lust in this situation. I am called to tell the truth in a situation with my parents when I'm tempted to lie because of something I've done wrong. Okay? And then she said the voice of the devil, it doesn't come through as that peace, as that conviction, or even as so much a challenge. It's more of this condemnation. So the voice of the devil sounds like, I shouldn't have done that, in the sense that it leads to shame. It's good to, in a sense, feel guilt about things we've done wrong because it shows that we are remorseful, we're sorry. But if it leads us to shame ourselves and start thinking like, I am bad, rather than what I did was bad or that action was bad. It's like the whole hate the sin, love the sinner. It's good to hate the sin that we do. It's essential to hate the sin in our lives. That's how we're going to overcome it and want to overcome it. But not to listen to the voice of the devil that leads us to shame, and that leads us to tell ourselves, I am bad, I am worthless, I am dirty, I am this, I am that. And so she said it all starts with this phrase, should. So if we start getting caught up in the anxious cycles of, I shouldn't have done that, I should have done this, I should be doing more, I should be more loving, I should be more faithful, I should have less sin, I should want to overcome the sin in my life more than I do. I should. And so she's like, you just get caught up in this should cycle. And she's like, we need to stop shoulding on ourselves because all that leads to is shame. So I just want to encourage you, short and sweet episode this week. Notice those different voices in your mind and in your life. Whenever you do something and realize afterward, I should not have done that, what are the stirrings of your heart? Where do those thoughts lead you? Because if that thought starts leading you to shame, then you need to call on the Holy Spirit in those moments and be like, come, Holy Spirit, change my thinking, order it toward the good. So rather than just this cycle that leads to no action, and it turns into a pity party of, oh, I shouldn't have done this and blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, I should not have done that. Lord, what are you calling me to instead? What is my challenge? What is my conviction going forward? Like making a battle plan, essentially. Like God is our general. It's like, Lord, lead me. Like, where do you want me to go? Rather than just sitting in the dark of my sin and just replaying over and over again what I should or should not have done. So I just challenge you going into this week, and maybe just even today, the rest of today, whether you're watching or listening to this episode, I invite you to be more intentional in those moments, to pause and pray. Come, Holy Spirit, what is my inspiration? What are you trying to tell me in this moment? And is it you speaking to me, or is it the voice of the evil one? Because I rebuke him immediately in your name, Jesus. Because what we never want to do, friends, is entertain the lies or the thoughts of the evil one. Because that's what's going to lead to that shame. That's what's going to lead to an endless cycle of sin. Interestingly enough, he's going to make us think, I shouldn't have done this, I shouldn't have done that. But rather than lead to good action, he doesn't want that, right? He wants us to stay in the dark. He wants us to just stay in shame. So it never leads to making us better. Whereas calling on the Holy Spirit will help us to actually make a plan moving forward and choosing virtue, choosing the good, and ultimately being headed more so intentionally toward the kingdom, because that is what this is all about. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know how it goes for you in the comments below. And I look forward to seeing you guys back here again next week. God bless.